Welcome to the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show, a broadcast service of globalbusinessnews.net.
Now, here's your host, Ed Cohen.
Hi, it's Ed Cohen, your broadcast host on Global TV Talk Show, a service of globalbusinessnews.net. Welcome you all to go to globalbusinessnews.net and check it out. You're going to be surprised how fun it is, honest to God. Our special guest today is Sarah Tabet, who's a global HR director with French-based Schneider Electric, and she's in Dubai. And I am really honored to have you on our show to go deep about your new book and more so about Schneider Electric and your role helping that company with DE&I and other things connected with global HR. Gary Sanger is in LA. He's the founder and owner of Sanger Associates, which is a top-tier executive search. John Schultz is in New York with International Auto Source. And in Ohio is Diane Ayers with Porchlight Rental and Destination Services. Sarah, why don't you show your book cover? Brand new book.
So good morning, good afternoon, good evening for everybody who's with us today. So this is my new book that has been launched, Inclusion Starts With You. I hope you can all see it on the camera well. I'm happy to be with you today as not only the HR director for Schneider Electric, but also as the author of this book and mainly to strengthen my message around the diversity and inclusion and talk about it and kind of to clarify the topic for people who don't understand it or want to know more around D&I. So happy to be with you.
And in the background, because of not being camera ready, is Ali Shami, who's a consultant on cultural stuff connected with big business and small business, including mine. Ali took an early retirement from Boeing aircraft where he sold airplanes and did customer service around the world. Ali, welcome. Please say hello.
All right. So here I am. Just excuse my the background. I try to move everything away. So good morning, good evening, everybody. I just earlier, as soon as I got the email, I chimed in and I wasn't planning. I wasn't going to be with you guys, but I thought, hey, I want to learn something. And Ed, my longtime friend, has talked me into turning the camera on. I moved stuff from the office, so I'm so looking forward to learning from you. And congratulations, Sarah. I love the title of the book.
Thank you, Ali.
So Ali, why don't you do about 30 seconds and maybe 29 seconds about your consultancy?
So as I've after 28 years with the Boeing company as a leader in various organizations, I've done on the side where we have like a university within the company. So I've done a lot of cultural awareness training, doing business across cultures, taken all the experience that I've had as a representative for the company in Korea, England, and Italy, and in visiting and working with international customers. So doing business across cultures, looking from diversity, it's what's that impact on the bottom line. Is not necessarily only on inclusion, which is a big part to what we're doing. So because of that, I started a consulting firm called FTD Global. It stands for Feel, Think, Do. This is what we do every day. We jump between thinking, doing, and feeling, and work with bringing executives together in doing business, at the same time working with the rest of with their companies, folks, middle management and working level of how they can minimize the conflict and maximize their profit.
That's a fresh 29 seconds. So Ali, why don't you send in the chat to Sarah, to everybody, your email and your website so people can learn more about the kind of cultural stuff you do for companies. So yes. We just did a broadcast with another cultural trainer a couple of weeks ago about the role of the business manager today, whether female or male, white, black, Jewish, Arab, whatever, uh, about the role of being a project manager and what does that culture have to do with how that project is managed today, especially considering work from home. So, Ali, why don't you just do another 28 seconds about about what we talked about that day? Oh, that's much better lighting. Thank you.
All right. You like that? Okay,
Yeah.
I'm working on it. I don't know if you can hear me well.
Yes.
Sorry, that was an exciting session that we had, and it was about project management across cultures. How is that? How do you function the same way? And you know how we're more, we're diverse. We're becoming more and more diverse, and it's not just to me. It's not just when it comes to cultural awareness. It's beyond the okay here with this particular somebody who subscribed to this particular culture. This is what we need to do, as much as this is where we should identify when this is not a cultural effect, because people who study culture, they always jump into, oh, this gotta be culture related, this gotta be culture related. If, as you know, we always find the things that we look for, but I think the skill is really to identify and say, hey, this is not a cultural aspect, but this is more of a human, natural, just how things work. So project management, yes, it varies from one culture to the other, and in the end, it's sharing that the caring is more important, not necessarily knowledge. I can go through and reference so many books, articles in this research I'm doing for my dissertation, but that's not what I'm here for. I love what John C. Maxwell said. People don't care what you know until that you know that you care, and caring is the biggest piece of project management and working across cultures.
Gary Sangers, what do you say about that?
I'd like to know how you figure out how to retire when you're 25 or 28 years old.
I did an early retirement. So as soon as I hit the 55 2 years ago, I took it. And, it's not just, it's retiring from the working from 5 till 5 or 5 till 10 at PM.
Yep, I got it.
But I'm working right now just enough not to get bored, but not too much to kill that freedom. So I'll never retire, really.
To address the question, I'm a proud member of 10 years of IRC Global Executive Search Partners, largest geographic search alliance out there with 45 countries and 90 cities. So I have colleagues in most every time zone. I'm very proud of that, and how we service our clients across the globe, is that way. An example of what we're working on now, instead of the pandemic slowing us down, it's speeded us up. We're more busy than ever. We have our largest client, which I actually established in 98. I founded my firm in 99. We have a half a dozen searches with them. They're a middle market, privately held manufacturing engineering company that's global. And of those half a dozen searches, they want women in senior management executive positions for them. They want to know who's going to be in their executive leadership in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And those jobs are in the 200 to 500K plus range. And so as they want to make sure they're balanced, as they make sure they're diverse, their emphasis is, women in their executive ranks. So that's an example currently as to what the last several months have been for us to be focused on.
Thank you, Gary. We'll circle back. Sarah, tell us what it was like, the feeling to unpack your boxes and open that first book.
Well, actually, this passion project, I would say, to write the book has started like 12 months ago. So last December, before COVID, before we started the lockdown and all of that. Well, it came out as a very good idea at a time where D&I is a very hot topic, not only in the corporate world, but also, socially, at all levels, in politics, in government, as you say. So across many aspects, even like soccer, we talk about equality and how, women and payment of women. So there's a lot of things going on in the world that really made this book come at the right time. Now, of course, with the lockdown, things got a little bit, I would say, tough and easy at the same time, because I had more time to focus on writing a lot of content, on working with the publisher and with the team to connect and make at least the content ready within 3 months. But then having to wait and looking at physically the book arriving, at my doorstep was a really amazing experience. I felt that, all the efforts and all the late nights have really come into perspective. And, it's different when you look at the book and you see your picture and your name. And then on Amazon, you look and see, okay, if I Google my name or if I put my name on Amazon, it's there as the author of. It's a really amazing experience. And now it comes with a responsibility. How can I get this message and make sure people actually not only read the book because of they benefit actually what's in there, what's the content. So this book has a combination of 13 years of HR experience, 4 years of deep work in the diversity and inclusion space, and a lot of personal stories. I would say it's an amazing feeling, but at the same time it comes with a lot of anxiety, a lot of I've put myself out there in this book, and it's difficult. It brings anxiety to see what people think, and what the feedback is going to be around it.
Yeah, this is really cool. So this is a time to extol some things about yourself, if you don't mind.
Of course.
Talk to us a little bit about the certificate from INSEAD that you're awarded, and with praise from Schneider Electric and everybody else.
Of course. So, as I said, part of my experience with Schneider Electric, I've been with the company for almost 5 years, with also previously with 10 years of experience in another multinational within the Middle East and Africa region. And with Schneider, I've had that great opportunity of taking part of one of the leadership, I would say, big trainings, leadership programs at INSEAD in France. And it was an amazing experience because, being part of being there in INSEAD brings a lot of not only technical, you don't learn a lot of technical stuff. It's really more about the network that you build. It's really the people that you meet that teaches you a lot. Spending 1 week in INSEAD, and then before that 9 months of virtual learnings that I had to take, and learned a lot about the digital, about technologies, about how we can as leaders, aside from where you're coming from or what you do. Actually, you could be a business leader, you could be HR. So it was a big diverse team that were just sitting in one room and sharing experiences and perspective on a lot of topics, mostly focusing on how we can disrupt the way we used to operate and have been operating as a company, to make sure that we're more efficient and productive. And it really broadens your perspective and horizon around a lot of topics. And that was so after approximately 9 months of learning and sharing experiences, I finally got to that certificate. So I'm really super happy about it. And it was really an honor to be part of this really group of experts and professionals.
Sarah, thank you very much. Now, your background includes some talent mobility management, and of course, some experience. So why don't you describe that a little bit? Then I want to introduce John and Diane to add to this mobility picture.
So definitely being in HR, there's a lot of functions within HR, and I've spent 2 years leading a team of part of the global mobility team. So being in a multinational, we know that a lot of people move around the globe, either for learning new things, so development opportunities for them, or sharing skills. So you could send you could send someone who has a specific technical experience to another country to share that experience and build a team in that other country. So we've worked a lot within that. However, what I have witnessed in the past year, and especially after COVID, what COVID happened, is that unfortunately most of those moves have been put on hold, and everything has become more virtual. So we've seen a lot of I would say halt in activities around the mobility space. People have started sharing knowledge only virtually, hoping that 2021 will bring again some opportunities of people to move physically to other countries for either development or skill transfer. So this is something that we've experienced. Was a lot of what I would say it was super active few years back, but we've seen a real change in how companies are doing things when it comes to mobility, at least over the past 12 months. So I hope that 2021 is going to be different. Let's see really how companies are going to be investing or willing to invest on movements of people.
So what do you think, Sarah, well, everybody,
Yeah.
should companies order everybody to be vaccinated as fast as possible? All employees, all visitors. Interesting, isn't it?
Interesting.
Yeah, Gary, what do you think?
Well, I think trying to get a majority opinion, let alone everyone to agree to something, is virtually impossible. But I think it's kind of like the lockdowns now in California, which are very severe. You know, the precautions you take, it's an individual decision, and yet the mass side of it is proven to be very, very effective in trying to control this. You know, I personally, once in fact I get my doctor to say, check this box and it makes sense for me, and with any allergies or any reactions or any medical issues, my simple answer is yes. My simple answer is yes. If in fact there's 95 to 98% reactions here that are going to be favorable, my simple answer is yes for me, yes for my family, and recommended for my team.
So I notified my doctor a month ago saying, put me on the top of the list as soon as possible. So I'm still waiting. Diane, please talk about your business a little bit. I know you don't do much international outbound, but you certainly help companies with people coming into the U.S. Is that right?
We absolutely do. And thanks for not making me talk about the vaccine. But I just feel that when we talk about diversity and inclusion, certainly we are the recipients of those coming here from other countries. And I think it was Ali who said earlier about building that kind of relationship and trust where they know you care. That's what we have to do all the time, because we are always meeting somebody for the first time, and they're entrusting us to help them find the right neighborhoods where they will feel most comfortable, where they can find some comforts of home, yet have the new cultural experience. That's what we do with the people that we are serving as they move into the United States and Canada.
Great. Thank you. John Schultz, you help employees with a benefit of cars. If they're on travel or relocated, you get people into a car. And that's a great employee benefit. They just love it.
Yes, yeah, they do. They do, Ed. First of all, thanks for having me on today, and thanks to the panel. This has been a really interesting discussion so far about, and especially this last section about talent mobility. That's what we do. We serve, like Diane and her company, we serve people moving around the globe and help them to purchase or lease a new automobile or rent a new automobile, regardless of their credit history and regardless of whether or not they have national identification numbers. Credit history doesn't transfer when one transfers across border. And so to try and purchase a vehicle without a credit history when you're moving to another country is the only way to do it is to pay cash, write a check for the full amount of the vehicle. We've been in business for 25 years. We have 50,000 customers around the globe, and we are able to provide financing, which helps these assignees better manage their cash flow when they are moving to a new country. And I do want to add on something that Diane said. I've moved, as I said, 3 times internationally, twice to Japan and once to South Korea. And having a local provider who meets you and helps you to find the right neighborhood, the right schools for your kid, is so important, especially when you move to a country where you can't even read the language. If you can't read kanji or hiragana, you're not going to be able to read. You're not going to be able to. It's going to be very difficult to get around in Japan. And
So let me ask
likewise
you a question.
in Korea.
In traffic, in the stop signs, they have the red stop sign, but it has this language, right? You have no idea what it says.
No, the stop signs are red with the English word stop in both Japan and South Korea. But the street signs overhead are in Korea, they're in Hangul, or in Japan, they're in kanji. So you really don't quite know where you are. And also it takes some time to learn the road direction signs. There were several times when I first moved to Japan where I'd get to an intersection and I'd make the turn and I'd be turning onto a one-way street going the wrong way, which is always a bit intimidating because, you don't understand the different road signs.
And over there, they drive on the other side, right?
In Japan, it is right-hand drive. Yeah. In like Britain. In Korea, it's left-hand drive, like in the United States.
So I know at the time you were there was no such thing as GPS or Waze, but
the first time I went was 1996, and there wasn't even internet. We just communicated via fax all the time.
And the paper map, a big paper map, you open on the car and then you start
That's what we had an English language atlas of the city of Tokyo and the surrounding prefecture that had all the roads. And so if, someone was with you in the car, that person truly became the navigator. It's okay, turn left, turn right, go straight for 5 miles.
I just wonder, we're not selling Waze here, but I wonder if you're an American in Tokyo using Waze, I guess you can program the voice to be in U.S., right?
Oh yeah. By the time I went to Tokyo the second time in 2001, you could program. There was in-car navigation available, as well as very rudimentary on the old style flip phone. There was navigation available, and you could program the language. So it would speak to you in English, turn right in 200 yards. Now, the street name would be in the local language, but at least you had some advance notice of when you had to make a turn or when you had to exit a highway.
And now a word from our co-sponsors. Our programs wouldn't happen without the wonderful support of our advertisers. Here they are.
Something that's really neat is that the Bridge School partners with various organizations to provide learning for their students. For example, we partner with a major ballet company, and we are able to enroll several of their students into our school. So now not only is the student able to participate in a school and have a seamless transition while they're very active in their ballet career, but now they have other dancers that are with them that are doing some of the same courses. So it's almost becoming a camaraderie where they're taking similar courses, they're working together on their ballet, and really being able to form this great partnership with these organizations to provide a needed service. A lot of times there are student athletes who will spend hours and hours at the gym or at the basketball courts, wherever it is. And if they're attending a traditional school, they're in school from 8 to 3. They get a quick snack, and then they're at the gym for 3 to 4 hours in the evening. Coming to us and having that partnership, they're able to break that up throughout the day. They can have a morning practice, get some schooling in, have an afternoon practice, finish their schooling in the evening. So there's that flexibility. And additionally, if there are tournaments or performances, it's fantastic because if there's a week where they have shows straight through, they can take that week off of learning and then pick back up when they're done. So it offers this great flexibility. And for the program owners of these sports leagues, it is a win-win situation for them because they see this need. They see this need that their students need to make sure that they are obtaining the grades necessary to be successful adults in our country and in other countries. But it provides them an environment where they can be successful at both.
This episode from the meeting room of Global TV Talk Show is brought to you by
The Bridge School, the accredited international online private school of choice at bridgek12.org.
Porch Light Rental and Destination Services. Reduce your renter lump sum or managed relocation costs. Visit them at porchlightrental.com.
Cube Monk, featuring the world's first smart cube. Track your goods with our advanced GPS system. Welcome to the future of moving and relocation at cubemonk.com.
Primestone Partners, featuring corporate, government, and developer housing solutions, as well as senior-level advisory services. Find them at primestonepartners.com.
And by heirs.com. With our full range of services, we can help design and manage your international relocation. Find us at heirs.com.
Insured Nomads provides protection and peace of mind with health insurance, travel insurance, group, or tailored insurance for the globally mobile. Visit us at insurednomads.com.
And by International Auto Source. We are the vehicle experts for expats, featuring all major brands of automobiles with flexible solutions and financing. On the web at intlauto.com.
Hi, my name is Christine. I'm a nurse from the Philippines, and I got to know IAS through Worldwide Health Staff Solutions. And I want to thank IAS, especially to Matthew, for helping me get my car stress-free, headache-free. And so I just want to show you the car that I got. So it's a RAV4 XLE 2020.
As an expat moving to the USA, relocating is exciting, but it can also be stressful. Getting a car, truck, or SUV for personal transportation is usually a high priority. That's where International Auto Source comes in. We make getting the vehicle you want for your work assignment or academic program easy, so you're ready to drive when you arrive. Our product specialists have helped over 50,000 expatriates with their personal transportation needs, making us the largest international auto retailer in the world. International Auto Source gives you flexible payment options to buy, lease, or rent a vehicle from the world's leading auto brands, arrange financing on a purchase or lease without a U.S. credit history, social security number, or driving record, get full insurance coverage, and get approved easily through our low-rate factory-backed financing programs. And because we're an authorized distributor of the world's leading automotive brands, our no-haggle prices are competitive, and the buying experience is hassle-free. We'll even guarantee your new vehicle will be ready the day you arrive. With over 20 years of experience in the global community, we are the vehicle experts for expats. We are International Auto Source.
Okay, we're back, and we're going to be talking now about communicating across time, across borders, across cultures. And we have experts. Sarah, your book is all about belonging. DE&I means actually not being the other, but belonging, right?
True. So, so DNI. So one of the big intent, I mean, of the book or objectives is to explain that first D and I are different. So D is different than the I. It's good to be diverse, and many organizations are pushing to bring in diversity, women, as Paul has mentioned, women on the board, people of color. So there's a lot of push on ticking the box, I would say, on diversity. But that doesn't mean that if you're diverse, it means that that sense of belonging you mentioned, Ed, is there. So there's a lot of things that people should do to create that sense of belonging, and that's what we call inclusion. So it's really about creating awareness of how we speak, how we think, the things that we've built in our heads, the unconscious biases that we've built, growing up. Sometimes one of the topics of the chapters in my book is, if you think you're not biased, think again, because it's really about unconscious biases that our mind makes without us even realizing. So inclusion is all about building that awareness of how humans think, and being aware of everything we do, what we call microaggressions, like small acts. And you talk about communication. So how many of us sometimes communicate, we're doing something and we're using our phone at the same time, or we're having some meetings and we make some comments that are really out of scope, or unintentional actions that are not well perceived. So it's really about creating that awareness of how we can make people feel they belong, regardless of their differences, be it gender, culture, race, mindset, whatever diversity, all forms of diversities.
So Sarah, you're a coach, you're a mentor. And so,
within
yeah.
HR, definitely. So I've been coaching and mentoring within my HR expertise. I've built that within my HR role, I would say, for the past 13 years, definitely.
Yeah. And so you do this across the Middle East and Africa? That must be huge amount of work. A lot of cultures.
Train a lot of people, definitely. I train a lot of people across around unconscious biases, how to be inclusive leaders, and I've learned how to train people virtually. And the funny thing, not funny, the interesting actually thing is, Middle East and Africa is a very diverse and different place. Like each country has its really different perspective, different culture. People are really different. So it's not like Middle East Africa is one country. And I realized over time that the diversity by itself means different things to different people. So when you talk diversity in India, people think it's really about north and south. There's different religions. There's different cultures. And then when you talk diversity, maybe in the US, there's a lot of focus on color or ethnicity or women. If you talk here in the Middle East, there's a lot of focus on, again, on equality, gender balance, pay equity. So diversity means very different things to different people, and it's a very big scope to cover. So yes, it's all about listening to what it means to people. Whenever we're training leaders, it's really about listening to their experiences and what it means to them, and how it relates to them personally, and then focusing on how we can help in supporting them to become more inclusive, and definitely impacting not only the business but also them on the social and family front.
Thank you. Gary, when you're searching for people at that level, 2 to 500K, that's pretty senior. To what extent is this belonging thing important today?
Belonging is a simple little word, right? But when you think about I'm a real student of Shark Tank, and this might seem like a diverse way to answer the question, but Mr. Wonderful talks about in most every pitch, what's the customer acquisition costs and how do you serve those customers? I think being able to have the full view and the full idea about those customers takes you to have a full view of your staff, of your team, of your backgrounds. And candidly, if in fact you are only older and white and educated in certain kinds of schools, it doesn't give you that view. I had a very early stage in my career experience. I was employee number 50 in a company that grew to 2,500 in 6 months to go manage half a dozen hospitals in Saudi Arabia. And we hired them from 70 countries per contract. And so trying to understand what it was that would best serve those hospitals back more than 3 decades ago, it was pretty remarkable. And so having the full view, the diverse view, I think is really critical.
No, thank you so much. Ali, culture in dealing with your customers in the airplane business,
I love.
culture. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I just love what I heard, and in my mind, I'm going through. I can link everything that I heard from each of your audience, but just in particular for D&I want to link what Sarah said and Diane. From D&I, diversity and inclusion. Diversity by itself is not enough. Inclusion by itself doesn't necessarily maximize the effort of the company. I want to relate that to, and the answer is what Diane talked about. Servant leadership. It's really caring about the customer, doing the right thing, and not necessarily looking at the numbers profit, but as much as just showing to the customers and the suppliers and the people and the team that you care. The only analogy that I can think of, and that will really describe what I'm saying, is having you want to make the best cuisine, right? You want to look for the best ingredients to make that salad or that cuisine. You can come up with the best ingredients, and the chef is there, and if the chef, the one that knows how to do things, is not going to be the best. Now, at the same time, if you have the chef sitting in the kitchen, and you don't bring all these great ingredients, what is he going to make, or what is she going to be able to make? It's not going to be. And this is where the servant leadership comes, and really caring. It's kind of like you increase diversity. There's that inclusion that also has to be there. Otherwise, it will be detrimental to the company. It's not just numbers. It's not just bring people who think differently and not be able. Or even when you put that chef that put the ingredients, and if they don't mix them really well with love, with caring, it's not gonna come out to be well. So as far as a lot of times you put in numbers for diversity and measure diversity. It's not. A lot of times they look at the metric. You look for the minority in a group, and ask them how well they feel, and you go, okay, great, the numbers are good, they're improving. And I think, in my opinion, my humble opinion, that's the worst metric that you could use to measure diversity. It's not the person who needs help. It's the whole. And what Gary mentioned is just an overview. How good is it if I move the pendulum from one side to the other side, and now I solve one problem, but I have another problem? So it's not the metric of how well the people who feel unprivileged or whatever the case is. It's how well the others who I've been there, I know how it is, I want to help you. I think that's the best measure.
Okay, Gary, and then I want to hear more about your experience in Asia and dealing with that situation. Gary?
I endorse those comments completely. The business view, what can you add to the business? What can you represent the customer in what they want, how you serve them, and how you keep them? I really dislike interviews with HR executives, HR managers, that all they know is the specialty within HR. They're not aligned with the business vision. They're not aligned with what they're trying to do for the customer. What, in business terms, why does this company exist? And what can you do to help that? I think that that full view, that diverse view is very, very critical.
Thank you, Gary. John Schultz.
Ed, it's very interesting to listen to Ali and to Gary. They are providing what I would say is a distinctly Western viewpoint on empathy and culture. And by that, I mean, when you have a homogenous culture like Japanese culture, when I went there and worked as the first foreigner to hold a line management position in the Japanese auto industry and not speaking the language, having 2 full-time interpreters, I displayed every aspect of empathy and willingness in trying to understand the culture. But not only was there a corporate culture at the company that I worked for, there was also the Japanese culture. And the Japanese culture was one of top down and respect for age. And you have to do something because of a person's position or because of their age, because if you don't do it, it's a sign of disrespect. So it was a terrific challenge for me trying to manage 34 Japanese employees along with 30 or so dealers across the northern third of Japan. And a quick story I want to share. I'd been on the road for a week traveling through northern Japan with one of my direct reports and my interpreter. We were on the train going back to Tokyo, and there was a stop where we were going to stop about an hour outside of Tokyo, which is where my direct report lived. And it was a Friday, and it was like 3:00 in the afternoon. And I said, look, at the next stop, why don't you get off and go home and spend time with your children and your family? He said, oh, no, John-san, I can't do that. I have to go back to the office. I have paperwork to do. So we went back and forth for about 5 minutes. And finally, I just pulled rank on him. And I said, look, I'm the bucho. I'm telling you, you're going to get off. We've had a good full week. You've done a really good job, but I want you to go home and take some time. So the following Monday, I would get into the office around 7:15, always the first one in. He got in around 7:30, which meant he caught a 6:30 train to get to the office. So in my poor Japanese and his poor English, we communicated, and I said, how was Friday? And he said, oh, John-san, it was wonderful, but I can never do it again. And I said, why? And he said, I walked in the door, and the first thing that happened, my wife said to me, were you fired? Why are you home so early? And then I was playing with my children, had a wonderful time playing with my children, but I got in the way of my wife preparing dinner for everyone. Because, of course, in the Japanese culture, many nights the employees go out drinking together. And, they don't get home until 11 or 12 o'clock by the time the kids are in bed. So for me, as a Western manager, growing up in a corporate culture, trying to change some of the culture of the company I was working in, and trying to have empathy and understanding and trying to show you need personal time as well as time on the job to be a whole person and a productive person. This was a great learning experience. And the wife of my employee said to him, don't you ever come home early again. You stay at the office and work. So that was a great cultural learning opportunity for me. And that's why I opened this long comment with the fact that Ali and Gary are looking at it from a Western standpoint. There is different types of culture that are not as open to empathy and understanding, and it takes a different skill set to try and penetrate that culture.
Okay, Diane. So from a white American woman's point of view, what do you say?
Well, I'm sitting here listening, thinking, I thought Americans were the ones that worked so hard, and it sounds like in Japan, you got a lot of other things going on there too. So just taking it all in. as a white woman in America, all I can tell you is I feel like we work very hard, and we have a place at the table when we want to sit there, and that's an important movement in America and for females in general. So I'm delighted to be here.
Sarah, you heard all of us talk a little bit, not me, but everybody else.
Yeah, no, I love what the story he said, because actually, yes, even I mean, I haven't worked with anyone in Japan or Korea yet, but I work with a lot in China, based in China, and we struggle. One of the examples that could relate to your story, John, is when after with COVID, a lot of organizations have started looking into what is the optimal way of work that they wanna kind of align on. So you see some tech companies who have decided to work from home for the full 2021. Some companies have decided on a hybrid approach, and similarly, Schneider Electric has decided that let's go for a hybrid approach where 2 days a week would be acceptable, to work from anywhere, and 3 days people have to show up at the office just to keep that kind of engagement environment and all of that. And this is where you can see the different reactions of people across the world. So people in the US with the American most of the Americans are used to working flexibly for many years now. It's not a new concept introduced. And then the Americans were like, do we have to go 3 days to the office? That's like, it's not a great idea. Why would we do that? As long as we're performing, what does it matter from where we work? And then you can see the reactions from China. 2 days from anywhere? That's impossible. We need people to be in the office. So it was like, and then Europe were in the middle. So it's different because of the different cultures and expectations from people, and it's all about what people are used or managers are used to see. But our role is to start to change that. Even if we can influence 1%, why not? At the end of the day, every day, this world is becoming more and more local with the connection, the communication, the exposure. People, don't have to travel to Japan or to Korea and be there to understand or to relate to different cultures. It's really about connecting virtually on some calls. So it's a great opportunity for people to open up more and more. But I agree with you. You still see different reactions to sometimes basic discussions that we have in 2020 or 2021.
Thank you, Sarah. So John, ordinarily, with a snow day coming, everyone will say, "Oh boy, I get off." But now everyone's expected to work because they can work from home.
That is true. My present company, International Auto Source, we saw the ad earlier in the commercials. There was a note that came out this morning from our HR director saying, if you don't have to come to the office, don't come to the office. Stay at home and work from home. And we're going to get 6 to 12 inches of snow, 40-mile-an-hour winds. But the expectation is that tomorrow, even if the roads aren't clear, people will be working. You'll be working remotely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Merry Christmas.
That's what COVID happened. Exactly. Well, COVID had a positive thing, and it made us all, agile and just adapt to the new norm. And the new norm is whatever happens, everybody's connected. People accepted the fact that they can be efficient and productive from wherever they are. So,
if I may just underscore the adaptable that Sarah mentioned, and I really want to also underscore what John said. This is great observation that just with empathy, and absolutely, having worked in Korea and had JAL, ANA from Japan are my customers. I totally agree with you. I think what got the advice with empathy is more because we are the product of the environment that we grow up in. Like, especially in my mind, I have another engagement with Boeing. We're so we're looking at diversity and inclusion in the United States, in Europe, what is really the right thing to do. So that definitely applies to a company in the United States. Now, of course, if you want to go do business somewhere else, you got to be very careful. You got to adapt like being empathetic in working in India, that could backfire big time, because it's the look is you are the boss, you're the one that makes the decision. While we in the West, we always give that we want to empower the employees. Oh, here's the problem, go do it. It worked very well for Bruce in Woodinville here. That's exactly what I want to do. Don't micromanage me. But when you work across cultures and across, globally, that could definitely backfire. And so it's really being selective. And that's where the biggest opportunity becomes, is when you have a team where everyone wants to be treated differently. Nobody wants to dance to the same song, right? And so how do you do that? And so that was an excellent point as far as global.
You have to learn to be inclusive, and inclusive is really about accepting differences, whatever they are. But you have to learn what the differences are. So
right. And now
so now everybody has to hold hands. Okay, put your hands forward, and we're going to sing "Kumbaya."
Well, Ed, I'd like to tagline on that. The new norm, Sarah's comment. You can hire virtually. You can hire by FaceTime, by walking through plants, by manufacturing facilities. We had no searches canceled. We got very senior executive people hired, and they didn't go to the facility. They didn't go to the corporate headquarters. And I think the new norm, the most difficult person to deal with all this, I think, are the parents that are doing the at-home schooling. And that mom, that dad that suddenly has to take care of their kids with the schooling part of it, that's the most brutal. And so virtually to approach that on their schedule, I think is very, very important.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you. Folks, I don't want to end the show, but I've got another broadcast with Paris in about 9 minutes. And so if anyone wants to join that, I'll send the link immediately. We're dealing with a relocation company executive. The name of the company is Helma, Helma, Helma International. They're worldwide. And our guest is Natalie Helios, and she is a partner, global partner. And her background includes being a tax lawyer with Ernst & Young. So I'm sure it won't be as lively as this one, but it'll be very informative. So I thank you all for coming on Global TV. And please come back in the new year. We can do part 2 to this in January.
Thank you. And good luck, Sarah.
I'd love to. Sarah, I want a signed copy of your book. I am so excited to read that. I am so pleased to be here. Thank you, Ed.
Thank you.
Gary, thank you.
Connect on LinkedIn. Thank you, guys. Thank you. It was amazing.
Thank you for joining us in the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show.
Have a wonderful day, and stay safe.